Hello and welcome to your weekend mini nerve. I am your host, Maureen Callahan. And for our final mini of 2025, and as we prepare to look forward to 2026, we thought, what better way to close it out than look at some old faces versus some new faces? Old year making way for the new year, old faces making way for a new face forward. To do that, we are joined by one of the very best in the business. Dr. Joshua Zuckerman is a highly regarded board-certified plastic surgeon in New York City. He is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and has been selected by his peers as a New York Times super doctor 4 years in a row. Dr. Zuckerman, welcome to The Nerve.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Now, to begin, we would like to show the changing faces of Jennifer Aniston. We're seeing her in 2018 versus 2024 in January versus June 2024. So a 6-month difference. What do you see that she has clearly done, Dr. Zuckerman, and what do you think of it?
Well, all right. So with small disclaimer with any of these celebrity photos. So like this is purely speculation. None of these people are my patients. And if they were my patients, I'd be violating some rules. So
listen, we traffic in allegedly reportedly here all day long. So we're all just having some fun. Absolutely understood.
I get it. And I'm happy to do it. So let's see. Pull up that picture of Jen again. So Jennifer Aniston, she's an example of what I think is great genetics and mostly natural aging. I mean, she's done some little things.
Lips. Let's talk about the lips.
Sure.
They're fuller and they got a bit wider. I mean, we're talking by like millimeters, which on the human face, that's a lot. She also seems to have some obvious filler in her cheeks.
Sure. Yeah, so I think Jen has done some of the minimally invasive things. Sure. Unquestionably, she gets some Botox. And yeah, she has done a few things.
Like what? Like what do you see, Dr. Zuckerman?
I'm sure she's gotten lip filler, but it's well done lip filler. Whatever she's had injected, it seems pretty well carried off. She never looks bad. She never looks overdone. She never looks bad. She probably had a little bit of cheek filler. And, the fact that she is... How old is she now? 50?
She's like 56, I think.
56. I mean, it's honestly pretty incredible that she has been able to kind of get to this point with only doing minimally invasive.
You don't think she's had a facelift?
No, I really don't.
Why not?
When you see a facelift, like somebody makes a fairly dramatic change. She doesn't really have a change in her jawline. Like she's never like had jowls that have then gone away. You've seen like a little bit of that formation, that nasolabial fold.
Those have disappeared because those were way more prominent when she was a younger woman on Friends. Her these right here, they were actually kind of like deep grooves. I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing. It's just what her face used to look like, and they have since been erased, really.
Again, I haven't seen that sea change, and it's tough telling from media photos. Like if somebody's smiling, you see creases. I don't think those lines have totally been erased on her. I'm sure she's gotten some filler. Filler in the mid-face, well carried out, works wonders. So, as we age, the natural volume in our cheeks descends.
Right.
So that descends, you get the creation of the nasolabial folds, you get flat across the cheekbone. As it gets worse, you get a downturn of the corners of the mouth. You start to get the jowling, which can sink below the jawline. That's natural facial aging. Putting filler back in the mid-face, especially in the front of the mid-face in this triangular area, is really putting volume back where it came from. And it's really one of the most effective ways to subtly make somebody look younger in the mid-face without doing anything surgical. So a combination of a little bit of that and a little bit of filler to soften up the nasolabial folds goes a long way. She probably has done some laser resurfacing.
Yeah.
She probably has done some microneedling, peels. Again, things that are done in office without submitting to a surgical procedure. But, looking at her face, she looks better than your average 56-year-old. No kidding. But I don't see that like she suddenly looks different. It's all subtle stuff. And I think she's a pretty good example of somebody who has taken a relatively lesser approach to, staying looking good.
Okay, let's move on to one of the changing faces that really did shock most people. The difference in the before with Bradley Cooper and the difference in the after is quite pronounced. There's been a lot of speculation as to what he has had done and if it's reversible, if he cares to reverse it. What do you see here, Dr. Zuckerman?
So I think it's all in the eyes. And that's where he looks different. If you look at old pictures of Bradley, he had those hooded eyelids even when he was a much younger man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the shape of his eye, and it's in fact, it's a masculine feature, and it doesn't.
Yes.
In men, like a little bit of hooding the eyelid looks good. I mean, look at Brad Pitt, for example.
We're going to get to him in a minute. Not to get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get ahead. Let's stay on Bradley.
So, but let's focus on Bradley, because what he has done, I also believe he's had a little bit of lip filler. If you look at the lips in the before and the lips in the after, they're plumped up.
Yeah,
listen, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. But what Bradley has had done has not only had an aging effect on him, it seems to have had a feminizing effect on the face.
Spot on. I was going to use that word exactly. It took the words right out of my mouth. So yeah, I think he had an upper blepharoplasty.
And exactly what is that? We're cutting out fat?
It's skin plus or minus some fat from the upper eyelid. I think it was only done on the uppers. He no longer has that hooding. And so
now,
upper
what about the
blepharoplasty,
eyebrows? The eyebrows seem raised in a way they weren't before.
So that may be done with just injectables. It is possible that he had a brow lift involving incisions up behind the hairline. It's less obvious to me. I think, I looked at these pictures of Bradley, like thinking about the brows, and I don't think they were surgically altered. I do think
you could do that with Botox.
You can do that. You can open it up a little bit with a little bit of Botox. But if you look at the eye itself, he has a lot more show of the iris. He has these piercing blue eyes, and you see the whole thing, which makes him look a little creepy, if you ask me.
Yes.
And so you have that kind of piercing blue eye. You see a little too much iris just at rest,
and
it's a little bit.
You see more of the eye in general, doctor. Like you see the whites of the eyes; they look unnaturally.
Exactly.
Like a staring eye, like a kind of it's unnerving, frankly.
Yes, I would agree with you. I think this was. I think he probably didn't need to do anything at all. I mean, I couldn't
agree with you more.
He's been staring at his hooded eye. Right. He's been staring at his hooded eyelids his entire life and said, you know what? All right, everybody else is getting some surgery. Why don't I do something about it? This is probably something like in his own mind has probably bothered him for a while. But honestly, it's a kind of trademark feature of his face that he's erased and fundamentally changed how he's looked as a result. And like you, I'm not a fan.
Is any of that reversible, or will it ameliorate itself with age, or is this it for Bradley?
I mean, everybody ages naturally. Some people get secondary upper blepharoplasties and things 10, 20 years down the road, but he's stuck with something like this forever. Unfortunately, you can't put skin back in the upper eyelid. Like you can't ever kind of recreate that slightly hooded eye that he had. Once that skin is gone, it's gone. Yeah, tough one.
All right, let's go to a man who I think has had excellent work done, allegedly, reportedly, just based on what we're seeing. Brad Pitt, January 2020 at the Santa Barbara Film Festival versus 2024 at the Venice Film Festival. What do you see, Doc?
I think he had a very nice facelift, and he may have had some fat transfer. He may have had a little bit of fat grafting. He may have put on a little bit of weight. It's hard to tell, but he didn't touch his eyes, and that's
so smart, right?
Yeah, right. It's a trademark feature of his look. And changing the shape of Brad's eyes is going to make him look like a different person, like it did with Bradley. And I think that was the right decision. I think he had a very nice facelift. I know the guy who allegedly did it.
Mm-hmm.
And he does very nice work. And I think his mid-face is put back where it needs to be. His nasolabial folds are gone. His jawline is nice and sharp. And yeah,
It
he's got
feels a little bit softer though, Doc. Can we just look at that before and after again?
Sure.
So it looks more angular. It looks triangular, frankly, in the before, and in the after, it's still triangular, but it's softened. And I wonder if he's had some filler put in to soften the that look, that jawline. What do you think?
If I were to guess, I think it's fat. If I
You
were to
think it's
guess,
a fat transfer?
I think it's really, really common to do a little bit of like small volume fat transfer at the same time we do a facelift. As we say, fat in the face equals youth. Volume in the face equals youth. People who've taken these weight loss medications, you talk about Ozempic.
We're going to get to that. You are reading our mind at Nerve HQ. But yeah, back to Brad.
But losing volume in the face makes you look older. And so conversely, putting volume selectively back makes you look younger. Brad selectively, successfully was able to wind back the clock. And I think he probably had a little bit of fat, in the mid cheek, maybe a little bit along the jawline, maybe a little bit around the mouth. Granted, he could just be puffy in that picture.
It's possible, but it is a look that has stuck around. And I do think I wanted to ask you, we were speaking to Jillian Michaels about filler versus fat transfer, and she is a big believer that fat transfer is far preferable to filler. Do you have an opinion on that?
In general, I do. Fat transfer, however, it's a little bit less predictable sometimes, and it's not reversible.
It's not.
It's not, or it's very difficult to reverse it.
Whoa.
I've taken care of some patients who've had fat transfer around their eyes to fill in tear troughs, and end up with this lump and this ridge right there. And it's not like you can dissolve it like an HA filler. You have to go back in surgically and try and excise that. Fat is fat, and once it takes as a graft, it's yours. It stays there. So you better be happy with where you put it. Yes, you can absolutely get a more natural fill, a permanent fill with fat. I love fat in the face done right. But when it's done wrong, it can look strange, and it's hard to go back on it.
I will say too, what I like about the work Brad reportedly had done is it feels conservative. He looks like a refreshed version of himself, like he went on vacation for a month. He doesn't look like he's trying to look 30 again. And I think that's the key.
That's the key. Exactly. He didn't do the eyes, didn't do the brows. Exactly. He just tried to turn back the clock to, an earlier version of himself, which is, when I do a facelift, that's the thought in the back of my head.
Okay, now we're going to go on to what you were just getting to, the facial effects of extreme weight loss that we're seeing on celebrities who are on GLP-1s or Ozempic. And I can think of no more, I'm sorry, but alarming example of this than Kelly Osbourne. We're seeing her before image in 2016, and we're seeing her this year in 2025. And Doc, we have to say, she looks like she has aged a good 20 years, and there is a hardness to her face. Again, our pal Jillian Michaels is telling us that a lot of plastic surgeons she knows in Beverly Hills are saying that with Ozempic or these GLP-1s, they're seeing their patients have accelerated aging in the skin itself. What do you think is happening here?
Well, so let me speak to that, and then I can tell you my thoughts on Kelly Osbourne. So yes, so GLP-1 drugs don't just make you lose fat; they make you lose everything. They essentially waste you. Your body just isn't taking in, as much nutrition. It's not absorbing as much nutrition as it used to. So unless you're doing some other things to counteract, you lose muscle mass, you lose collagen in your skin. So yes, it is in that sense aging you. So yes, we see this in people who've gone too far, who've been on it too long or on too high of a dose. Right, where the face just looks wasted and they start to look skeletal. The body portion of my practice has been, really significantly affected by these GLP-1 drugs. Everybody who comes in.
You mean like skin surgery removal?
Exactly. Things like tummy tucks and arm lifts, circumferential body lifts on people who previously weren't doing any of this stuff.
A body lift?
Well, yeah, it's a tummy tuck.
What's a body lift? What's a body lift?
So that's a circumferential tummy tuck, basically. Tummy tuck in the front, but the incision goes all the way around to take
Oh,
off
this
some of
all sounds
this.
so brutal. I'm sorry. I know it's your business, but
Oh,
like
it's
just as a
great.
layperson, these
It's,
procedures sound really serious.
I mean, it's surgery. It's surgery, and done right, they're incredibly effective. Done wrong, in the wrong hands, you don't want to do them in the wrong hands.
As
Um,
Bradley Cooper apparently did. But so what would you say, when you see a Kelly Osbourne, who is like a fairly young woman, she's only like 40 something, like
yeah.
what's happening to her face?
So I actually, if you believe what Kelly says, and like, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She actually was never on one of the GLP-1 drugs.
I do not believe that for a moment.
So So I mean, I read the People magazine article about Kelly Osbourne, and her take on it is like, so she had weight loss surgery. So she had a gastric sleeve. She lost 85 pounds, and then she had a baby, put back on all the weight and then some. And then on the heels of that, I think lost a bunch of weight, lost her dad last year. Her claim is that she wasn't able
I
to
don't
eat.
believe it. I don't believe that's the
I
reason
mean,
for this. I'm sorry. Whether or not we believe her is almost beside the point. Like we can agree to disagree, but like what is going on with her face and is it reversible? Like is any amount of filler gonna make up for whatever the texture of her skin now is?
So, I think a lot of so she has gone she has gone too far. I'll give her that. She looks like she needs to gain 20, 30 pounds and she would benefit from
Yeah.
that and look good. I am sure Kelly has some degree of body dysmorphia, if not a lot of body dysmorphia. It would not surprise me if she has a reasonably serious eating disorder problem with food and with her relationships to food and relationships to cravings. You see this in people who have those problems where no matter what the public sees, they look in the mirror and they see a fat person.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you take it too far, whether it's by just starving yourself or using these medications. It can be taken too far. Now,
And I bring her example up not to be cruel in any way, but just because I think the messaging that celebrities like this, who say that the weight came off naturally or because of an emotional state, are sending very, very sick messaging out to the general public. So that is the reason why we're sort of going through these images, as are marketed to us as like, oh, I changed my hairstyle. I'd like to tell you about a new documentary I've recently watched. It's called Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and it is a deep dive into the origins of COVID-19, a potential bioarms race with China, and what could be the biggest public health deception in modern history. Award-winning filmmaker Jenner First pores over documents and grills scientists, intelligence experts, and whistleblowers. This is not a left-wing film or a right-wing film. It is a film about accountability. This is a compelling investigative work. It is urgent, unsettling, eye-opening, and it is now streaming on Angel Studios. It is a must-watch. If you have ever wondered what really goes on behind closed doors, you will not want to miss this film. And what's alarming are the layers of institutional secrecy and the courage it takes to challenge these. Angel Studios is the only platform bold enough to release this, thanks to Guild members who vote on real stories. It's already available on Angel, so be ready to watch, question, and share. If you are ready to question and demand transparency, join the Angel Guild at angel.com/nerve. Become a member, stream Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and be part of the conversation demanding truth and accountability. Now to one of the magical makeovers, really, which clearly it was surgical intervention and otherwise, Lindsay Lohan. We're seeing her before in the mid-2000s when she was still clearly struggling with she's had well-documented issues with substances. I don't know what state she was in on the before pic, but the after pic, she reemerged this year. I think that her work, as many, many do, is incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think she has had done, and what do you think of it?
I think she looks great. I think she looks amazing. I mean, that picture that you're showing, I think some of these after images are a little bit curated for the press. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
probably retouched a little bit. However,
Mm-hmm.
that said, I'm not taking away from how she looks. Um, I think a couple of things. I think she had some filler dissolved. I think she had a face full of filler before, which was dissolved.
Mm.
I think she definitely had some laser resurfacing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think she probably had some sort of facelift, be it minimally invasive. I don't think anything was under her neck. Her jawline looks, significantly different. Her mid face, the volume in her mid face, her cheekbone is kind of repositioned. Her nasolabial folds are gone. She
Mm.
probably had some selective fat grafting. She has a nice smooth contour where she looked like a gaunt person with a face full of filler before,
Yes.
and some sun damage. Um,
Yeah.
so combination of taking out the filler, putting back a little volume in the right place, something gentle. Like, people have speculated maybe she had one of these kind of minimally invasive endoscopic facelifts, where it's the incisions are invisible and the change is just enough. It's to tighten up the jawline, just puts everything
Mm-hmm.
back slightly where it belongs. Um, and then like a really nice CO2 laser and or some microneedling. The quality of her skin is just remarkable. Again, I think the picture might be a little retouched, but I think like a lot of the difference you're seeing is in just like the quality of the skin. I think it's gorgeous.
What do you think that work cost conservatively? Let's say she had it done in the States. Are we talking like 300 to 500,000?
Hard to say. It depends who you're going to. I mean, like facelift prices have gotten a little bit out of control.
They have, and we're going to
With
get to it with our final one. So don't
people
jump
will
ahead
tr
of me, Doc.
I mean, hard to say. I mean, yes, six figures, I'm sure. Like the things like lasers don't cost all that much, but guys will charge whatever they can get away with for a facelift.
Mhm.
Even though there really aren't that many variations of the operation, there is subtlety to it, and there are better facelifts and worse facelifts, obviously. But the technical aspect of it, is one worth 10x the next facelift? No. But yeah, I mean, she easily it was easily 100 to 200 to $300,000. I would guess. If she's going to the ponytail lift guy in LA, it's probably more than that. But yeah, I mean, again, guys are charging what they can.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about the ponytail lift guy in LA, but before we get to that, we're going to touch on the this micro trend happening that I worry is going to bleed out into the culture at large. And this is the phenomenon of young women who are gorgeous to begin with, who are getting facelifts at the age of around 40, if not younger. We're going to look at Emma Stone before and after, and we are going to look at Anne Hathaway. Both debuted new faces this year. And to my mind, I look at them twice. Anne Hathaway in particular, she looks waxen to me. She looks
Yeah,
waxen. Why did she
she
do that?
again, I'm not. So Anne Hathaway has had some things done. Earlier in life, she had pretty sure she had a rhinoplasty, but that was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Her face, yes, she probably had a facelift. So Anne's eyes look different.
Mm-hmm.
She almost definitely had an upper cleft. It looks like she had a brow lift.
Mm-hmm.
The tail of her brow is up pretty high. She used to be a
Mm-hmm.
little bit heavier. It's a nice looking brow lift. I'll give her that. She looks much narrower in the lower face. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to tell from the before picture you gave me because she's
Mm-hmm.
smiling, and that can really distort things and make people
Well,
look
we're familiar
wider.
with her face, and it definitely was a
Sure.
fuller
It,
face.
she looks, yeah, she looks different. So it would not surprise me if she had, lower face and neck lift. Not her neck, but her jawline is much more snatched. Um, she has no nasolabial fold to speak of in that picture. Yeah, again, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think anything was done her neck. But kind of to your point with women getting facelifts at a younger age. Yes, it's definitely a trend that we're seeing, and I don't think it's outrageous. I think there is kind of globally across my industry a trend toward accepting a little more downtime for a little bit more result. So for example, getting a CO2 laser, a deep peel, something like that, where, your face looks like it's been through it a little bit for a couple of weeks. However, the upside is long lasting, beautiful new baby skin.
Right.
Um,
But no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about like surgery, right?
I,
And facelifts only last about 10 to 15 years before you have to go get another one. And how will this impact what aging looks like in the culture? We're going to look at Kris Jenner, facelift of the year. Now,
sure.
my understanding, we've got her before from 2023, her after from 2025. My understanding from people who have seen her in person, and we're looking at what looks like a lot of filtering in the after photo, a ton.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
unquestionably.
That these people who have this level of surgery, they often look better in photos. And in person, it looks alarming. It looks like they have been surgically intervened with, and because they're not aging in a way that is natural. We all know how nature works. To kick it back to Brad Pitt, his work is conservative. He's not trying to look 25. Right. Kris Jenner looks like she's trying to look like the youngest Kardashian, and it's unnerving to me.
So I do think she had a really nice facelift, but I also agree with you. I think in person I think the photos that the public sees are very curated. And yes, I'm sure in person she looks like she had something done. I don't think she looks overdone. I think her jawline is really nice. I know well the guy who did it.
And I mean, she named him. He's out publicly as having done her facelift.
He's a friend of mine. We trained together.
Oh, interesting.
His office is 2 blocks from mine.
Oh, no kidding. So did Kris come to New York City to get that facelift?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
She did. Do you, by the way, I just have to ask you on the side, do you know the doctor who did Demi Moore's initial facelift?
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Do you know the guy who she went to in New York to fix that initial facelift?
Man, I'm not up on this stuff. I know.
Okay.
I know
we'll get
Kris
you there
because I know him well.
We'll get you there. So I understand that Kris, you maybe you're friends with her doc, and so I won't go in on you any further with that. I mean, the troublemakers know what I think, but what do you see coming for the culture, for the way that our aesthetics are driven by celebrities and plastic surgery? What do you see as the quote unquote trends for 2026?
I mean, I think the trends are going to swing back in the other direction. I mean,
really?
I think it has to at some point. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2026, but I think we're going to get back to a little more or less a little more or less is more.
Oh, I can only hope. I like hope you're right.
So, I mean, as I alluded to with the laser thing, yes, people are willing to submit to things with more downtime. And yes, a facelift in a 40-year-old woman works really well. It corrects the changes that are associated with aging. It gets rid of nasolabial folds, puts your cheeks back where it belongs, puts your cheeks back where they belong. It corrects the jawline. And the tissues are much easier to work with in younger people. But I think there's going to be some backlash with this. You look at these people look different. It's all over the news. He or she, whichever celebrity is, they've gotten a facelift, they've gotten their eyes done. What have they had done? The conversation that we're having now, there has to be reaction to that at some point. And I think it is going to start to go back to things that are a little more subtle. Slightly more subtle changes, not necessarily aging gracefully, but not looking like a different person.
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, and I kind of think that the two things are not contradictory. I think you can age gracefully and have some interventions, but still look like yourself and still look like you're not chasing after lost youth. Like youth is the most valuable currency going. There's a lot to be said for hard-won wisdom, and some of it showing on your face.
100%. Jen Aniston.
She's your dream girl. I got to tell you, we watch the morning show over here, and we all had the culture had some reactions to her changing face, but she seems to have brought it back a little bit, at least according to my one of my doctors. But
I'm telling you, I don't think she had surgery. I think she looks awesome.
all right. Well, potato, doctor. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us on today's Mini Nerve. And that does it. Thanks so much.
It's been fun.
Thank you very much. Really fun. And that does it for today's edition of the Mini Nerve, the last one of 2025. Our little mini. We're bringing the mini into 2026. We will see you back here on Tuesday. We've got 2 new nerves for you this week. The travel edition, the Nervy Traveler with Belinda Carlisle. You will not want to miss this. Belinda brought the dry brushes. Need I say more? In the meantime, send me your emails at Maureen@devilmaycaremedia.com or DM me on Instagram at Maureen Callahan Writer or at The Nerve Show. Be sure to subscribe to The Nerve's Substack. It's just our weekly email. You can go sign up for that over at thenerveshow.com. Subscribe if you haven't already. And your Nerve merch is available at shopthenerve.com. There is something for everyone, including you self-described Mo Bros. You can also catch The Nerve on Megan's podcast playlist every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 111, the Megyn Kelly channel. And before we go, here is a sneak peek at The Nerve's new travel series dropping on Tuesday, The Nervy Traveler. Here we go. Welcome to The Nerve's very first travel edition.
Oh, wow.
What a magical place this is.
It really is.
We're headed to the island of the dolls.
It does feel a little much. The pyramids of Mexico.
I'm taking my inspo from none other than Tracy Ellis. There's no place in the world you can't dry brush, right?
We got the beat. We got the beat.
We got the beat.
Suck it, Tracy Ellis Ross. Try to do that with a real go-go.
And you guys know by now, Tracy Ellis Ross for sure has seen that. So we eagerly await her feedback on social media. See you again next week on The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next. Do you second guess the nutrition, taste, and sustainability of the seafood that you bring home? Introducing Wild Alaskan. Their seafood is 100% wild caught. It's never farmed, which means no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives. Just clean, nutrient-rich fish that supports healthy oceans and fishing communities. Wild Alaskan Company delivers perfectly portioned, wild-caught seafood straight to your door. I have tried it, and I love their fish. Their fish is frozen right off the boat, and it locks in all of that flavor, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s, which are so good for you. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices. Their flexible membership includes expert tips and feel-good seafood. My personal favorite is the wild sockeye salmon. It is rich, buttery, and incredibly fresh. The best part is that you can try it risk-free. And if you are not completely satisfied with your first box, Wild Alaskan Company offers a 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked. It's just high-quality seafood that you can feel good about. Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first order. And thank you to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode.